Well, hey, it sure was good to have Rick back again this Sunday, right? For those of you that were here, you saw him and saw him lead us through a difficult conversation on politics. I wasn't here, as you saw. I was away for the weekend in La Crosse with some of our kids as we celebrated Parents' Weekend there. Great time away. But it was good to be back with Rick. I watched it on our way back home and listened to it again just to catch up with where he took you, conversations that he and I and we as a staff have been having really for a long time about politics. To be honest, I'm almost a little bit tired of it, as he alluded to plenty of things that have been sent to us. How about we say that, over the past few months of things in print or on YouTube videos, etc. And so let's talk a little bit about what Rick shared on Sunday. He talked, when it comes to politics, that we should be kingdom voters, kingdom-minded voters. He's acknowledged that came from Tony Evans, a pastor down in I think, Texas. But Dr. Evans encourages us to be kingdom voters. And what does that look like, you might wonder? What does that mean to be kingdom voters? It means to keep God's kingdom at the forefront. What would he want, or what values best fall in line with biblical values? What policies should we as kingdom-minded people care most about? What policies most reflect biblical values? What policies are going to be most in line when it comes to important things to us as Christians, like life, for instance, or for health care, taking care of our bodies, for immigration and marriage and gender, and those are just some of the big issues. But what policies reflect biblical values? And which candidate, not just the president, mind you, which candidate among all those who we have the potential to vote for in the month or so from now best reflect biblical values? Do your homework on that. I'm not going to give you all the answers. None of us will on that. Do your homework and find out. The other thing that he talked about when it comes to these policies is that character counts. Because as Rick mentioned, our character will always determine our morals. Our character will always determine our morals and be involved with what policies we would put in place if we were in the position of government. And it says the same about those who are in those positions now or aspiring to be in those. What do we know about that candidate's character? Again, in all of the elections that we'll be voting for. Great conversation, just like the rest of all of these that we've been working through, the questions that you have from end times and numerous other good conversations that we know have happened after the messages, after our gatherings on Sundays as well, whether that be in a classroom here or in phone calls or other conversations that you've had in your homes. We're grateful for that. And really, where Rick landed the end of the conversation on Sunday is where I would continue to encourage you as well. You know, all of us, I would guess, or the majority of us, have a little bit of uncertainty, right? We might feel a little uncertain. We might feel a little bit worried about the election of what's happening. We might be uncertain or worried about what's happening right now in the Middle East, as that seems to be changing constantly, if you're keeping up with all that's happening in Israel and with Gaza, and now, of course, with Lebanon and Iran being in the mix of all that. And so we can be a little bit nervous or uncertain about it. Or even with the weather that's been happening here in the southeast U.S. with that last hurricane with Helene, and now another one due to come through on Wednesday, the way it sounds, landing at least on the Gulf Coast of Florida again. And we have unknowns about that again. We saw, at least through our television screens or phones, the devastation caused there. We've heard reports about the devastation that's happened there. And so all of this, and that's three pretty big things, but there's plenty going on in your individual lives as well that I would just encourage you about the election, about the Middle East, about the hurricanes, about your personal life. If you're feeling nervous or anxious or uncertain, I'm going to tell you what you already know. Pray. Pray. There's one thing I know, that I don't know the answer and I don't know the outcome of what's going to happen in November. I don't know the outcome of what's going to happen in the Middle East. I don't know the outcome of a few days from now with what's going to happen with the next hurricane. I don't know. But you know who does? It's not the guy, some pastor on YouTube that's giving you what he or she thinks is the right answers. No, the one who does is the King of all kings, the Lord and Creator of the universe. And so when we feel what we feel, that anxiousness, that uncertainty, pray. Pray to the King. Pray that he will accomplish his will. Yes, through voters like you and I and others, but that he will accomplish his will here in the United States and throughout the world in places like Israel and in weather situations. Pray. 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 We will see many of you this weekend as Pastor Luther comes into town from Kansas City and share what's happening there at Bridge of Hope Church. And then next week, the week after on the 20th, I think the Sunday is, we'll conclude with one last question from you all. Until then, have a great week.